Heyo, it's your friendly neighborhood crow, Ashlyn Sticks, and this is episode 2 of our timeless Tundra build in Planet Zoo. The last time we were here, we built a bear habitat, a Himalayan bear habitat, and a timber wolf habitat. This time around, we're gonna pick one of the other two tundra critters that I happen to have available and go from there. The first thing we have to tackle is making sure we have our habitat animals and going to the tundra. We only have a select few for the tundra specifically, and I do know we have our Himalayan here, and we have our wolves on the other side. Now, I don't want to do another bear right away, so I do believe I'm going to do the Highland cattle instead. But let's just kind of wander over here and see what we're going to do with our pathing and our general shape. They're probably all going to be relatively the same shape because I don't get too wild with it. The snow is making this particularly difficult for me because I actually can't see where the pathing is. So you're going to see me struggle a little bit with this particular portion. I do have to figure out what pathing I used. It's been a minute since we played Planet Zoo, specifically on this zoo. In fact, I haven't played Planet Zoo or much in the way of games recently at all, due to some life stuff that kind of came up. Keeping up with my videos has been a little bit more difficult. However, we are getting back into the swing of things. So we're going to throw our pathing out, and I don't know why I'm choosing to do the one length path. Lord only knows. Sometimes I don't think things all the way through. I can't even remember how to use the buttons, so you will actually see me go into the menu to check how to use the controls when I start building this enclosure, because boy oh boy has it been a minute since I played Planet Zoo. Now, while we cover my road situation, I am going to give you a couple of fun facts about Highland cattle. They are an ancient Scottish breed. They have double coats, and the double coats protect them from the wet weather and help when they're looking for food. They actually do come in more colors than just red. They come in yellow, black, white, silver, and even brindle, but red is the most popular. Both males and females have horns. Obviously, the males are whiter and thicker. They also have a fringe of hair, which is called a Dawson, and it helps them shield their eyeballs from flies and insects. They obviously are grazers. They live longer than most cattle breeds. Some of them can live for 20 years or even more. And they are one of the oldest registered breeds in the world, with their herd books dating back to 1885. So, when we're looking at these cattle friends, we also know that they're not endangered. They are a species of bovine that we do breed for both milking purposes and meat, obviously. They do actually have a leaner type of meat than some other bovine breeds. But they're also considered the gentle giants of, like, the bovine world. They're one of the friendlier species of cattle. Not saying that not all cattle are, like, not friendly. Most of them are, especially if they're raised in a domestic environment. But you do get some that are bred that have more aggressive tendencies, just like any other animal. So you could see that I picked out like a rather largish group of cattle, and that's because when you typically see a herd of cattle, I wouldn't say you'd keep one or two unless you're doing dairy specifically for your like household. Most places will raise cattle in large groups because of the fact that well, one, they're a herd animal, they're happier in larger groups, and they protect each other, but also because of the fact that that means that you breed faster. And with a lot of my Planet Zoo enclosures and stuff, the main goal is to be able to earn the extra currency to be able to adopt more animals, cooler animals. There are a lot of animals in the Planet Zoo, like animal shop, that are specifically that like premium, I don't know what's it called again? Conservation points. That you can only get using conservation points. And that's because they're bred by other people that are playing the game, which is really cool. It gives like a community feel to the game, it really does. But you can see if you go into the adoption area that sometimes the prices they put these critters at it makes them unobtainable, more or less. And that's unfortunate. So, obviously I don't have a whole lot of conservation points, but we're working on that. Now we're finally on to doing my barriers. I know you will see a lot of people doing custom barriers, but I don't have the patience to do a whole barrier custom, and it frustrates me when I mess up and they manage to escape. So I do the actual barriers, and I will go in and decorate the main barriers using construction pieces later when I have more money available to use. I'll also decorate around them, that kind of stuff. But for the sake of my sanity, I don't do full custom barriers. It, one, saves time, two, my attention span just does not handle trying to custom barrier very well. I am trying to make sure that this is about the right size because I want to give them plenty of room to be able to breed and have babies. I know you can get Lewistic, I believe is what they're called, albino and melanistic of pretty much every breed of animal, every species of animal, excuse me, in the game. But the only ones I've managed to get albinos from are my peacocks, a zebra, warthogs, and I believe there was another one. And I kind of want to breed and see if I can actually manage to get albinos of other species. Just for the fun of it, or, you know, Lewistics or melanistics as well. It would be really cool if in Planet Zoo 2 they gave you the ability to get piebalds, because there are a lot of species of animals in the world where you can find piebalds, or even like the actual color variations you can find in the species. I think that would also be cool. Like, our Highland cattle, in this particular case, are all going to be red. There's not going to be any real color variation between them unless they do have one of those color mutations. I think it would be cool for them to actually include the natural color selection for the animals, but I'm sure that would be a little harder to program. It would just be kind of nice to see. Maybe not in all the animals, maybe just a couple? But, I don't know. There's a couple other things that would be really cool for Planet Zoo 2 as well, like being able to make the, what are they called? Not the habitat animals, the other ones, the ones that go in the tanks, the little enclosures, make those expandable. so you can add more of them or customize them to the building a little bit more. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe even do animal encounters where you can see your educators holding specific animals from those enclosures and teaching people about them, because you see that at zoos too, where they'll pull out like corn snakes and stuff and teach you about them and let you hold them and that kind of stuff. I don't know. What do you want to see in Planet Zoo 2? There's a lot of potential for change and improvement, and I definitely want more decorational pieces, but as somebody who has to buy each and every Planet Zoo pack, while they're not expensive, and I'm thankful for that, it is a bit difficult for me to get a hold of decorational pieces, so I hope they add more creation content for the base game for Planet Zoo 2 whenever they decide to put that out. Now, I'm gonna build a little cow shed here. This is something I don't do a whole lot of either. I don't use construction very often. I do see in other people's videos that they make like little keeper huts that they attach to each enclosure, and they do a lot more custom building than I do. I'm just now learning how to do all of this, so bear with me as I fiddle with all of these walls and make the most basic structures you'll probably ever see, but I'll get better with time, I'm sure. I just kind of want to learn how to do it. And yeah, if you have any tips and tricks as to how to make this stuff easier, that would be great, because to be entirely honest, I'm not sure I'm doing this in the most effective way. Like, those don't even look the same length to me. You can see me measuring them up against each other. I don't know if that's just, like, my depth perception issue, or if that's the game. But I kind of wanted to build them like a little shed thing for indoors, because cattle typically can be seen around barns, or even, like, having been raised on a ranch for part of my life, I've seen them in outdoor, like, wind shelters and stuff too. They also use trees as shelter, but this game doesn't quantify that as hard shelter, so I wanted to try to build something. Now, I do know you can get blueprints off of the Steam page. However, I don't have everything unlocked, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And I've also noticed that sometimes when I add structures from the blueprints, that they don't show up, which is decidedly frustrating for me. So I'm still trying to figure that out. That way, when it comes down to it, I can borrow other people's pieces. Because, of course, I'm gonna give them all the credit for it, but not in all cases am I gonna wanna sit here and build things like this. This was just me first attempt to build a building. Oh god, it's so crooked. Look at it. Okay, I thought the full structure would have connected itself, but that is definitely not the case here. Let's fix this wall first. Oh. Is there a way to turn down the sensitivity of my mouse? Like, as is, my mouse is already broken. Like, I can't use the scrolly wheel. It kind of just jumps around like a maniac. But, like, when I try to use some of the tools to move things around a little bit, good lord, does it jump around. I'm gonna add in some arches if I can find them, because I want them to be able to walk in and out with no issue, as well as obviously my caretaker. So let's look for what, maybe I'm looking in the wrong section. Let's go, oh, there's a arches section. Nice, nice. And this is where I couldn't remember what button turned the piece by 90 degrees, so the wiggling, I cannot. I know I jump over here into, like, the help eventually. Nope, that's not it. It's also not in there. Yes, good job. There we go, we found it. I think I go in here like 3 or 4 times to figure out how to move things, which makes it a little bit more obvious that I'm a little lost here, but that's okay. It is a learning curve. There we go. Hey, we got an arch in. Do a couple more of these. Alright, we have arches now. Good job. Now, it's still crooked. So we need to fix that. Trying to remember how to group it all together. Missed wall. There we go. Look at that. We did the thing. Now we're going to finally fix this and try to make it as even as humanly possible. That way I can tackle adding that door space in and fixing my barrier as well, because I think my barrier is actually crooked as well. Which is another thing I struggle with. Like, I cannot tell if my barrier is straight or not until I finish the barrier and I'm looking at it and I realize it's crooked. So if you have any tips for that, that would be absolutely wonderful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna kind of speed this portion up a little bit. This is where we get into our more tedious portion of decorating for the enclosure, because I do actually try to fix my barrier, just to start with. Let's go through this, fix my little barrier, because it's never straight, ever. And I do know that if you leave the barrier too far into a structure, that it will consistently tell you that your critter escaped even though they didn't escape, and that can get very frustrating very quickly. But we do actually have to add in this door piece that I was previously talking about. Oh. There we go. Okay, good. And my gate is not where I want it. I think there's a mod that lets you place things a little easier, but I really try not to run mods, especially for this game, because this game is particularly large. All things considered, I am playing this off of a laptop, and it does not handle the base game very well. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So we are going to come in here and adjust my barrier. I'm gonna change this portion into a null barrier. Gonna double check that this is not escapable. Okay, there we go. That way it looks a little better on the inside and the outside actually, because it was kind of poking through the wall there. We're going to add in my roof. Super simple roof, because not just this game, but like Sims, I can't roof either. So we're learning slowly. Okay, I forget what button I have to use to elevate my roof piece, but it's okay. We'll just cheat this way. Copy it. Rotate it 500 million times. Good, very good. Now we need... Where's that? The center swatch for this. Da, da, da. There it is, shift. This goes a little smoother than I thought it was going to, honestly. Now I don't just flat roof across the entire thing. I do add glass pieces, and it's because of the fact that I know that if you zoom out too much, you'll be on the outside of the roof and it doesn't just let you zoom back through the roof. But for the glass pieces, it will let you zoom in and out of the glass roof pieces. That it just makes it easier to do the inside building portion of everything. Now, of course, I don't get super intricate with the inside, but I do add some like staging stuff in there. You will see. So we add like my little glass dome. Let me scoot in here. Oh, I did it already. Okay. So we're gonna add some stalls after I clear this out with some dirt. Like, I know you can put... Oh dear, I already did it. Oh god. Okay. I know you can put flooring in here, but I just prefer the dirt. If you've ever been in the stalls of, like, horses or cattle, or a lot of the times the floor is concrete or gravel. Gravel is less used a bit less, especially in the cases of horses, because it can get stuck in their hooves, but you will see dirt flooring as well, compact dirt flooring. I just went with the dirt flooring because for simplicity's sake. At this point, I'm a little tired of building, so I just want to get some of this smaller stuff out of the way. You will see me scoot into our little keeper's hutch thingy over here. We're gonna add in these little hooks for some shovels and buckets and stuff. Oops. In and out of these walls. In and out. But we have some hooks on the walls. Now I'm going to add some tools on the floor that I have to adjust up. I think there's a way to do it by degree, but I have no idea how. So I'm just gonna manually kind of wiggle these guys into place. We have some of your typical cleaning tools, which would be your pitchfork. You use it for hay a lot of the time, and two different types of shovels, a bigger one and a smaller one. Depends on the workload for sure. I know these are sticking out. Just bear with me here. These little tedious things I am not the best at doing, that's for sure. It does take me nearly 10 minutes, so you'll see that I sped this up a little bit just to make it a little easier. Because, good lord, this takes me forever. And then I undo what I'm doing and upset myself. But I did just want to try adding in something a little more realistic, because I really do like watching those builds that other people do where they've got the actual, like, keeper huts and, like, keeper stations in the back of their enclosures. It's just a little bit more difficult for me to do it at this point. Now we're going to add in hay, and wheelbarrows, and some buckets. Once that's all said and done, we have to add in our habitat items, such as our bedding in here for sure. Definitely need our bedding. I am noticing some more farm type decor, because I did buy that pack, so we will probably add that in a little later, but I'm gonna try to add in some bedding. I'm gonna have more bedding than absolutely humanly necessary, of course, because I want to let these guys do their thing and have babies. So now I am currently debating on what I want to do. Not quite sure if I've got water availability, which it turns out I do. Go figure. That's pretty awesome, actually. So we're gonna dig a little water hole over here. That way our cattle have somewhere to stop and drink. And it's right next to the glass, so people can watch them drink the water, because why not? Of course, that water's gonna be really, really cold, if not frozen, if it was in real life, but that's okay. We've got to add in our amusement and our food items. We're gonna have a bunch of them, so I'm just gonna drop in quite a few of these items. You will see I don't really change the terrain in this particular enclosure. They don't really need it. They're pasture animals typically, so flat is fine for them. They don't need much change in variety for their area. Whereas with the bears, there were a ton of rocks and trees and all of that kind of stuff. Definitely not necessary in this case. But we're gonna make sure that we add in a couple more decoration pieces, because why not? I found these cute little wheels and I quite like them. Albeit spinning them was a little bit difficult there for a second. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh lord, it's not straight. Okay, there we go. Now, I do wish these stood out a bit more, but it'll do. Kind of gets the idea across. Again, super simplistic, not overly decorated, but it is an attempt at constructing something that's not blueprinted in, and I'm actually kind of proud of myself for this. Because if I remember correctly, I do find the animal sign for the Highland cattle. I'm super happy about that. So I put them up. I find it funny that the snow just disappears when you move it. But we want to add our little Highland friends here. I thought this was super cute. I mean, again, super simple, but super cute. And I also decided to put text using some of the shape boards on the outside as well. That was actually something that I saw Sinful Panda on YouTube doing. She's way better at it than I am, but I thought it would be cute to add some names to the enclosures I'll probably go back and add to my previous enclosures as well, but probably on my own time. But here you can see me fighting with letters to put this little board on the screen. Now, I don't know if there's an easier way to do this either. You can see me struggling a little bit to grab onto this letter and tilt it. And this section itself took me, I'd say, about 15 minutes just to get these letters on this wall. I do need to go back and see if I can find an easier way to do this. Just because. And then I went to spell high, like H-I-G-H, and it just doesn't look like a word for some reason when I do it. And I do recall actually having to go back and look at the name Highland Cattle to double check that I'm not spelling high wrong, just because it looks weird. I don't know if that happens to anybody else, where words just don't look like words when you put them together. But it happens to me. Yeah, I stopped trying to get it perfect at some point. I figure I'm not going to look at it from the side, so it gets a little easier because I stopped trying to make it absolutely perfect. I am very proud of myself, though, for even going through and putting in the effort to do this. I'm trying to learn how to make my zoos and my enclosures prettier. Because I see all these other ones that are on YouTube, right? And people spend what feels like not as much time, but they make these beautiful enclosures and these background things where the keepers are at and everything. And I kind of want to try to start doing that kind of stuff, because I do enjoy the decorating portion of this game quite a bit, but I do find that it is very slow going for me, especially since I'm not great with the controls. You will see that I name it the Highland Hideout. I thought it was fitting because of the fact that, like, when it's raining or whatever, they might go and hide out in the barn. I may come back and try to improve said barn, just because it's a little sad looking, but I am very proud of the fact that I even built something on my own. So there's that. And this is where I start running into I don't have enough stuff to decorate with, because I don't feel like these palms fit like the farm aesthetic, but I wanted something to fill that out a little bit more. So here we have our little thing, our little hideout. How cute. Very proud of it. And then we have to come in here, and I want to add, obviously, a little walking path for these guys. I should have added it beforehand, but again, I can't really see the path, so... And the funniest part about this is I hit play at some point after I have this all decorated, and the snow goes away. It stops snowing. But I don't like to build and have it in play at the same time, especially when I have other animals, because then things go wrong in my zoo. The critters get sick, there's protesters, and my poor brain just gets overloaded. So I try to do the building and stuff with it not in play mode. But we're gonna add in our simple stuff, which is our little sign here, our radio. We're gonna put it in play and pull these guys out of quarantine when they're ready. And we're gonna move them to their enclosure. Oh, there we go. Now I'm also aware that I need to come in here to zoo and fix this because I don't think I've added it in yet to my work zones. I have not. And here you can see I have like an everything, and then I have my separate enclosures. That's just because I do a keeper and a caretaker typically for every enclosure. Because when I first started playing the game, I decided to get peacocks this one time. And the peafowl, let me tell you, they breed really, really fast, just like the ostriches do. And their area became very dirty, and I could not keep up with it and couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And it's just because my work zones were terrible. So now I try to keep my work zones a little bit more organized, obviously. Plus it keeps my staff happier because they don't have 8 billion different enclosures they're trying to work. So I'll come back into staff, add in a keeper. Where is the road? There it is. And then we'll change the keeper to our Highland Cow. Now, we do have this little keeper hut that I built on the side. You'll see it. And I actually do land up adding a little path here. That way there's a keeper hut closer by to the enclosure for my friend to get to take care of the cattle. I may actually add an individual one for the Highland cattle and fix that off camera. Just because I didn't think of it in the moment. But I know that's something that other people do as well. So they do add like a little keeper situation on the side of each building. And that's something I want to get better at doing. But here we are. Oh god, so many alerts. We have our cattle. I think they just got dropped in, so we'll change my sign. Change this. Up the radius. Very good. Come look at our cattle here. Look at him run. Or her. I'm not really sure. I'm not clicked on them, so. But we have our cattle in here now. Oh, it's a girl. If you guys do want to give me some names for the animals in the enclosures, more than happy to put names in. Either just a name of your suggestion, or even like your username. I will use that too. We are going to change the terrain to make them a little happier. It's always the long grass, isn't it, that just makes everybody so unhappy. I see that typically when I'm building enclosures, they really do not like the long grass, so I just want to make sure my terrain makes them happy. I do think in this particular case, I kind of gave up on making their terrain perfect, because no matter what I did, it did not make them happy, so forgive me when I just kind of leave it in the red. They love this space, look at them. The enclosure is a bit large for them, but typically with a pasture, let's say, any animal really, if you would do pasture space, you would do 1 acre per animal. And in this particular case, I believe I have 6 or 7 cattle, so that would be 7 acres. I'm not quite sure what the conversion rate is, but I do know this would be about like a 10, 15, maybe even 20 acre area. They do graze, which means that they chop down the grass, so you want to make sure that they have plenty of grazing space. You know, lots of space, especially since we want to make sure that they're having baby cattle. Now they're happy with the coverage and everything, of course they are. That just makes sense. I'm going to plop in some trees though. Just because we don't want a completely plain enclosure. But I also don't want to overdo the coverage. Typically speaking, most pastures won't have a whole lot of trees in them. They might have a sparse amount. But when you're taking care of cattle, you don't want them to get entangled or lost or hurt in those areas. So pastures tend to be fairly empty. But we added in a little bit. That should be good. She looks pretty happy. So there's that. We do have to add in the facility stuff really quick, so I'm gonna come over here and nab one of these. Because trash and donations are important. We did add in quite a bit of I can't see the pathing. I'm just hoping it's clipping on the inside of the path. That way I can add these buckets in so we don't land up with an overabundance of trash, because that gets frustrating fairly quickly. You will see that my enclosures tend to all be relatively the same shape. And that's just because I haven't figured out how to build different types of enclosures yet. I did try an underground enclosure once, and it took me almost 4 hours to build, and I vowed I would never do such a thing to myself ever again. So, the point of the game is to have fun playing the game, and it was not fun for me to play the game when I was fighting with it to be able to build specific enclosures, so yeah. Now we're gonna toss in the bit. See, the snow finally disappears, and I can start seeing things again. I couldn't remember if I was using the normal bins or not, that's why I ran over here. But I am. So we'll just add these bins in. That way they donate. And then we're gonna come say hi to some of my other critters here in just a second after I add in the benches. Everybody likes benches. Places to sit are nice. I guess that's good enough. Now, our wolves did just have puppies. Let's come look at this puppy over here. Wait, no, come back. Oh, look at the baby timber wolf. Look how little and cute. Oh, it's so cute. They really are adorable. Like, this game does a really good job, even though I'm on, like, the lowest settings, to even be able to play the game. The baby animals are adorable. So those are the baby wolves, and I think we have quite a few in here, actually. Just want to double check that their space was okay, considering how many babies we have. And then we'll come check the bears, because if I remember correctly, we have twins. Oh, look at them. Look at our bear family. Oh, yes, the zoomies. Ah, goodness, I love the cute little animals. Coming on one of these cows here. Okay, so technically, if we're being very technical, the unbred females are considered heifers. because they are unbred. They are not yet cows. They're not considered a cow until they're bred. So, let's clear that up a little bit. They are heifers until we start having babies. But there you have it. Just another day in Planet Zoo. Thank you for stopping in and watching this episode of Timeless Tundra, Planet Zoo episode 2. Thank you for all of your support. Please, if you would, like, subscribe, and comment down below. Have a beautiful day.